Welcome everybody to Saskatoon Folk Fest Cultural Connect Day 2. Sit back, relax, gather your friends and gather your family, and be embracing a wonderful night of entertainment that we have planned for you. As we gather here on Treaty 6 lands and the traditional land of the Métis, we want to start ourselves in a very good way. And with that, I'd like to introduce our elders and our knowledge keepers here that we have with us today. And so I'm going to turn it over to oh jeepers, now I'm missing a name. I can't believe this. So I want to turn this over to Hawk Caribou and her sister to start us out in a good way. So over to you.
Okay, I'm going to say a prayer, a blessed and Cree. I will start with the Cree words. Anyways, no tawinan, so the manana no tumagagi sigak. But si wini midiak, do tawinan, sway the menana no tumau tagap mutiagaski, do tawinan, sway the menan mina doga, imodigisagago Saskatoon, do tawinan, nimiditin, idu imititic, itniwak pitus askik uce, no tawinan. Sway the manan mina tasimiditi tamaktan tutagi itsugo etniak puiti suskotsuche ta kasiaya michek kasinakamuchek kasimitsuchek sway the manan mantu sway the manan minoda anutska kaya Saskatoonik nido amen.
Our great Creator, we come to you in prayer with grateful hearts. We give thanks to the many blessings and for all that's good on Mother Earth. For this we give thanks. Creator, we pray for safety and health for all. We pray for our grandparents, our parents, our children, men and women. For them we give thanks. We give thanks for our time to socialize and gather together for Folkfest 2021, celebrating in our great city of Saskatoon on Treaty 6 territory. We pray for all the event planners and volunteers for Folkfest. We give thanks for them. We pray that you enjoy all the many different cultures from around the world, in person and virtual. We pray that you all enjoy the food, the music, and dances from many different nations and cultures. We pray for great weather and safety for all. With grateful hearts, we pray, amen, hi hi.
Thank you so much to both of you. My apologies on your name to Myrtle O'Brien. Thank you so much for being part of this. And thank you to Hawk Caribou. Much appreciation. We know that you come from many different places representing, and thank you so much for starting us out in a good way tonight. Much appreciation. And you can tell I'm nervous. I am nervous tonight, and you know why? Because we've got such a great night planned, and I can't wait to get there. And I know somebody that's going to help us with that transition to we've got some fantastic youth ambassadors that are going to start us out today, and some amazing acts and all of that sort of stuff. So I want to introduce my colleague, Kishore, who is going to take us into a segue to start us out into the next part. So Kishore.
Before we move on to view the performances for the evening, let us hear the greetings from Charlie Clark, Mayor of Saskatoon, and Rhonda Rosenberg, Executive Director of Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan.
Greetings. Tansei, I'm Charlie Clark, Mayor of Saskatoon, and it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the virtual 2021 Folk Fest Culture Connect located here on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis. At the heart of Folkfest is recognizing the various cultures that build our collective community and coming together to celebrate our diversity. Because we know our whole community will be stronger when we build understanding and when every person and every culture is valued here. This year, we will miss seeing each other and visiting pavilions in person to see the dances, the songs, and entertainment showcasing Saskatoon's roots from around the world. But whether virtual or in person, I know Folkfest is a lot of work, and I want to thank the board, the staff, and the volunteers for all of your efforts in bringing pavilions to life this year and every year. While we will all miss the in-person pavilions at Saskatoon Folkfest, I had the chance to try the Filipino Pavilion online order, and our family loved it. I hope you've also had a chance to try out some of the amazing food from the various pavilions through the packages that are being offered online. And if you haven't, be sure to check out all of the interactive activities being offered this year. Thank you again to everyone who has made this wonderful display of Saskatoon's rich diversity possible. And I hope that everyone watching enjoys seeing what our city has to offer. Happy Folkfest, everyone.
On behalf of the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan, I am proud to join you as a sponsor of Culture Connect, Saskatoon Folkfest 2021. MCAS's work supports and reaches lands covered by Treaties 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10, traditional lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Nakota, Lakota, Dakota, Dene, Michif, and formerly Blackfoot nations. We are all treaty people. MCAS encourages everyone to join, commit to learning, and acting for equity in our quest for decolonization and reconciliation. The Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan is continuously impressed by Saskatoon Folkfest's innovative orientation. They have not only found ways to bring the celebration of diversity to us virtually throughout the pandemic, but have also created ways for ethnocultural communities and the public to connect and interact. Online presentations mean that viewers can experience cultural music, dance, and singing, along with cooking and other demonstrations from the safety and comfort of their homes or wherever they may be. The determination to provide authentic interaction has resulted in activities that include cultural workshops to delve into specific topics with cultural mentors, online food sales, and meaningful sharing and discussion by hosts and moderators during the event. MCAS is delighted that we've been able to support meetings among multicultural festival organizers throughout the province this year, and Folkfest has proven themselves a leader in partnerships and collaboration. We're also funding new initiatives with youth ambassadors, resulting in both opportunities for deeper learning and sharing and intercultural connections. The cultural episodes and responses to questions from the public are not only creative expansions for Folkfest, but can be shared long after this weekend. The pandemic has exposed inequalities and injustices, as well as capacity for inventive adaptation. MCAS and our partners continue to advocate for education, respect, and dialogue as key components for a shift in thinking and behavior as we work towards harmonious relations among people of diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. Change is never easy. It requires uncomfortable conversations and dismantling racism in our systems and ourselves. The 5 streams of multicultural work, cultural continuity, celebration of diversity, anti-racism, intercultural connections, and integration all speak to the need to form and nurture a cohesive community. We recognize that diverse perspectives can birth great ideas only in an environment that emphasizes mutual respect and consideration of each other. There is no question that Folkfest is part of this ongoing work. As we enjoy the 2-day summer event, may we use this opportunity to reflect on how our relationships with others can be strengthened as we keep our minds open to form new connections. We congratulate Folkfest and recognize Sask Lotteries, whose continuous support through Sask Culture allows us to create opportunities and support our members to bring to life the provincial motto, "For many people's strength." Thank you and enjoy these 2 evenings. On behalf
Thank you for that lovely introduction. Good evening, Folk Festers. My name is Muiz. I'm going to be one of your hosts today, along with Abdullah. We're very excited to be here as Culture Connect once again, and we're more than excited to be able to represent Pakistan as the youth ambassadors this year.
Hi, I'm Abdullah, and I'm really excited to be a part of Culture Connect tonight. We are going to kick off this evening with a question and answer segment. If you're with us for day one of Culture Connect, then you would know that we gave our sponsors and patrons an opportunity to submit cultural questions to our youth ambassadors and pavilion volunteers.
These questions, just like yesterday, are going to be produced and shown to you throughout the episode and throughout the day, so make sure you stay tuned to expand your cultural knowledge to the most. Our first question actually comes from Namartha Kochar with Strategic Communications at the University of Saskatchewan. As a fellow student at the university, I'm extremely proud that my college is supporting community events like Saskatoon Folk Fest. Let's tune in.
Hi, my name is Namartha Kochar, and I'm the Special Projects Officer in Strategic Communications at the University of Saskatchewan. I always enjoy the rich history, delicious food, and wonderful performances at the Philippines Pavilion, and I was wondering if you could please explain the history of the traditional bamboo dance.
Our Philippines Youth Ambassador has provided us with an answer. In the Philippines, the use of bamboo is very common in different cultural activities, everything from cooking to martial arts. One particular folk dance, called the tinikling, is popular for using two long bamboo poles where a pair of dancers, in between the rhythmic clapping of the sticks, they dance in between the rhythmic clapping of the sticks. This dance originated during the period of Spanish colonization, and it represents the attempts of Filipino farmers to prevent a certain kind of bird, called the tickling, from stealing rice ripe from their paddies. The dancers in the tinikling represent the tickling bird, who are trying to avoid the clapping bamboo sticks, which represent all of the traps laid by farmers. In many ways, the popularity of this folk dance speaks to the importance of agriculture in Filipino culture, as well as just in general.
And that leads us straight into our first performance of tonight. The Kumintong Folk Dance Ensemble is performing the tinikling. This one is sure to keep you on the edge of your seat.
Up next as well are a few of our youth ambassador statements. These statements are an opportunity for us as youth ambassadors to speak about why Folk Fest matters to us and the value of celebrating multiculturalism and what that brings to the city of Saskatoon. These statements are going to be featured throughout tonight, so make sure you stay tuned.
Following that will be a musical performance with numerous traditional instruments from the Bangladesh Pavilion. Please enjoy.
Folkfest represents Saskatoon's diverse community, where many different cultures from all around the world come together to educate each other on their respective traditions and celebrate their differences. It transports you from country to country without leaving the comfort of your hometown. It shines a light on how truly diverse Saskatoon is and how eager people are to learn about the customs of different cultures.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Moiz Rafiki. I'm one of the youth ambassadors from Pakistan. I think that the freedom to celebrate our diversity is one of the defining attributes of Canadian society. Building bridges across the small gaps that happen to divide us is key to bringing everyone closer together. And I think the Folk Fest is an amazing example of how we're able to do that together.
Namaste. My name is Prapti and I'm one of the ambassadors for India this year. India is a wonderful country in where people of all cultures, castes, creeds and faiths coexist. India is well known for its cultural history, spices and of course its people. That is why the popular phrase unity is diversity is associated with India. Thank you.
Namaste. I'm Ritu Patel with the India Pavilion. Folkfest, to me, changes perceptions, inspires imaginations, and impacts lives in a personal and meaningful way. It gives us and shows us the value of diversity, giving us an incredible platform to learn and grow from one another. Folkfest plays an essential role in strengthening our community.
What a great musical performance. Thank you, Nasreen and Dr. Monserrat. That instrument was very, very unique. It's something that I haven't really seen before. Just before that was also a truly incredible performance by the Kumintang Folk Fest Ensemble. And at the beginning, when that video started, I thought I might be able to follow along, but when it got fast there near the end, Abdullah, I don't know about you, but the coordination that those dancers had was something that I could not replicate, even with a lot of practice. So for those of you who did find that interesting, you'll be happy to know that the Kumintang Folk Fest Folk Dance Ensemble are actually based here in Saskatoon, and dancers of all ages are invited to go there to meet new friends, learn about Filipino culture, and the richness of their history.
Up next, we have a very special video called Strathspey Through Saskatoon from the Glen Lily Highland Dancers from the Scottish Pavilion. They're a professional Highland dance troupe based in Saskatoon. This next video was submitted for the Canadian Championships Virtual Choreography Showcase, which Highland dancers all over the world participated in. Glen Lily thought this would be a perfect opportunity to share the beautiful sights of Saskatoon. Use the comments to let us know which locations you can identify.
After that, we're going to have a very talented musician, Kiela Caudillo, and she's actually been performing at Folk Fest with the Central American and Mexican pavilions since 2013, which is a really long time. Kiela is proud of her Mexican roots and appreciates every opportunity to share her culture with her voice. She's going to be singing Guadalajara for you tonight. Following Kiela, we have another question from our friends and loyal folk festers at Sherbrooke Community Center. When we come back, I'm going to have an answer for you.
Guadalajara, Guadalajara. Guadalajara, Guadalajara. Tienes el alma de provinciana, hueles a limpia rosa temprana. A verde jara fresca del río, son palomas tu caserío. Guadalajara, Guadalajara, hueles a pura tierra mojada. Palomitos lejanos, ojitos de agua hermano. Hay colomitos inolvidables, inolvidables, como las tardes en que la lluvia bajo la loma no nos dejaba ir a Zapopan. La que más que pueblito. Olorosos carritos.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Siemens. I live at Shelburne Community Center, and I'd like to know, why is karaoke so popular in the Philippines?
Now, once again, Adrian from the Philippines Pavilion was happy to help me with answering Jennifer's question. Karaoke is one of the most popular party gathering activities that are favored by many in the Filipino community. If you're attending a wedding, a birthday party, a Christmas dinner, or even funerals, it's very likely that you're going to find a microphone and a karaoke screen lying around. Its popularity can be explained broadly by two main factors. Firstly, the prevalence of singing has been an enduring feature in Filipino culture for most of its history. Secondly, the modern phenomenon of karaoke has actually taken a lot of influence from its neighbors in Secondly, the Filipino culture has taken a lot of influence from its neighbors in East and Southeast Asia. Karaoke first became popular in Japan in the 1960s, and when Western bands such as the Beatles gained fame, Filipinos adapted their love of singing using this modern technology. Jennifer, I hope that answers your question, but before you go, I have one question for you. Do you and your friends ever sing karaoke at Sherbrooke?
Thank you, Muiz, and I would also like to say thank you to Kiela for your performance earlier. It's hard to resist dancing to that lively music. Muiz, did you happen to catch my dance moves in the sword dance tutorial last night?
Yeah, Abdullah, your moves are pretty hard to miss.
Well, we would also like to say thank you to Glen Lily Highland dancers. What a cool way to showcase your talent around our city. Coming up later in the show are dancers from the Hungarian Pavilion. They will also do a dance through Saskatoon. Coming up soon will be the Chinese paper cutting demonstration. So for that, you will want to have a handy pair of scissors and a piece of paper folded in half, like a rectangle, so you can follow along at home. We will be doing it here as well.
You'll get to see how well we were able to do it too, like Abdullah said. Our next performers are actually from the Bangladesh Pavilion, and they wrote a really heartfelt introduction for their dance, which I'm honored to be able to speak for you now. Bangladesh, a nation with one identity. They are Bengali irrespective of religion and caste. While countless youth have fought for the Bengali language and shed their blood in 1952, the International Language Day is the result of this unprecedented movement in the world. Their culture, tradition, communal harmony, independent spirit, and their simple lifestyle are mixed in Bengali folk music, which emphasizes the cultural roots of Bangladesh. In today's grand event, we have arranged a folk dance with the sincere efforts of Annika, Antara, and Disha. We hope that you enjoy it.
After that, we have a few dance performances from the Nepalese community of Saskatoon. One thing that is really cool about this segment is that it has been designed to showcase the regional dress and dance from different regions of Nepal. So please enjoy.
সেজে ডাকাতিয়া বাঁশি শোনে আর কাজ নাই সেজে ডাকাতিয়া বাঁশি সেজে দিন দুপুরে চুরি করে রাত্রিরে তো কথা নাই ডাকাতিয়া বাঁশি শোনে আর কাজ নাই সেজে ডাকাতিয়া বাঁশি একজনে ছবি আঁকে এক মনে ও হয় অমন আরেকজনে বসে বসে রং মাখে ও হয় আবার সেই ছবিখান নষ্ট করে কুঞ্জনা কুঞ্জনা সেই ছবিখান নষ্ট করে কুঞ্জনা কুঞ্জনা তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জনা মন জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জনা তোমার ঘরে বাস করে কারা হয় মন জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জনা মন জানো না তোমার ঘরে বসত করে কয়জনা সোনা চাইয়া জেনে না গো সোনা সেজন সোনা চেনে না খাঁটি সোনা চাইয়া জেনে না গো সোনা সেজন সোনা চেনে না নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে রে ভ্রমরা নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে রে ভ্রমরা নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে জ্বালাইয়া চন্দ্রের বাতি জেগে রব সারা রাতি গো আমি কব কথা শিশিরের রসনে রে তোমরা নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে রে ভ্রমরা নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে নিশিতে যাই ও ফুল বনে
माया पिराती होते नो सिर माथि
Wow, thank you to the Nepalese and Bangladeshi communities for sharing those diverse cultural dances. I'm excited to see more content from both pavilions later on in the show.
And I just want to take a second to say that with everything being online this year, it really is fascinating to see how creative people have become. We saw people dancing in their cleared out basements, dancing in their kitchens. Earlier, we saw people dancing by the riverside, a little more isolated, doing whatever they can and contributing in whatever way is possible to be able to make FolkFest possible, even in this more limited capacity. I think that does go to speak for how important FolkFest is to so many people and how valuable it can be for us. Now, I am delighted to introduce the first cultural episode of the night. Many of us youth ambassadors have been working hard this summer to make cultural episodes, which offer an in-depth look at an aspect of our cultures. We'll be showing short clips of these throughout the evening, but make sure to visit our website to catch the full episodes as they debut throughout September. Nicole and Melody with the South Sudan Pavilion will be teaching Prapti and Shakti how to wrap a baby according to South Sudanese tradition. Don't worry, no live babies were harmed during the making of these episodes.
Hey Muiz, have you ever wanted to try traditional Chinese paper cutting? Well then, you're in luck, and anyone else in the audience. Because after the next tutorial, we will have a demonstration recorded just for you FolkFesters. Jun Lee promised us that this is something even beginners can follow along to us, so Muiz and I will also be giving it a try. Make sure you have scissors and paper ready.
Hi, my name is Melody. And my name is Nicole, and we are from the South Sudanese Pavilion. Today we're going to be demonstrating how to tie a baby on your back. And joining us from the Indian Pavilion are our lovely participants, Shakti and Prapti. Tying babies on your back is a really common tradition within South Sudanese culture, as it is for the whole of Africa, just with different variants. The history behind it is that there weren't modern daycares like we have today, so you would either let your friend or your family member that you really trusted babysit, or you would pay somebody that you knew and trusted. So the women would take the babies and tie them on their backs when they were doing housework like cooking, cleaning, etc. So before we get into the demonstration, do any of you have a question?
So these baby tying and things like that, like, would they do that, like, no matter where they went? Like, even if they were walking around, like, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Just, like, if they were, I don't know if you have, like, farmers or stuff.
Markets. Markets, but there's a specific one for gardening. For gardening, you don't do baby tying. You have a really low basket. You fill it up with, like, blankets, pillows, and then you put the baby in the basket while you do gardening. Because it's really like lower work, might be uncomfortable. But like if you're going walking, especially they would tie babies on their back when traveling, carrying water on their heads,
Okay, wow, that's actually really cool.
Thank you. Okay, so now into the demonstration. Okay. So you're gonna take, we're gonna take our kitenges, which means scarf in our language. Take those off. Okay, very tight. Okay. Then we're gonna just leave it on our chairs for now. Now, Melody. Okay. So what you're gonna wanna do is almost like a cross with your hands, with your right arm over your left one. And then you're gonna wanna take the baby's hands like this and spin it all the way onto your back, like that. And you wanna make sure your hair isn't in the way either, because it's gonna slip. And the baby's arms, if it was a realistic baby, of course, it should just be placed right underneath your armpits. And you're gonna wanna stay in a really, really low stance, so the baby does not slip off. Then, usually you take your kitenge and you take the two little sides of it and put them together so it's easier to get behind you. Then, you hold them both like this. And you wanna, no problem. Place it on your baby. Is that good? Yeah. And then, is that good? A little higher?
That's good.
Put it right under
It's
your
right
armpit.
by the neck and ears.
Okay, perfect. You're gonna wanna take the two ends then, right underneath your armpits, and tie it into it. Simple knot. Like so. Then you're gonna wanna double knot it for double knot it for extra security. Then bring the bottom two pieces all the way up to the baby's bum area. But first, you're gonna want to make sure that you cradle in the baby's feet. Like that. Then you take these two,
Yeah.
and you do the same thing, you double knot them.
And the reason why that you want to cradle the baby's feet, and so some people prefer to leave the baby's legs dangling, but that could actually be really bad for the baby's skin, as the cloth can just cut off and really irritate the skin. So, this is just the standard way of doing it. But let's say your baby was getting tired and it started to sleep. This very own blanket my mother used on me. You would take it, this is just so then the baby's neck can be straightforward and comfortable while it sleeps, but then also very protecting. Good. Is that right? Mm-hmm. For this one, you just take the two ends. It should be folded into a triangle-like shape. Two ends. This. And like so. It's almost just like a pillow for the baby. So it's resting, it's comfortable, neck is straightforward, not bending, because that can be really bad.
And it should look like this when you're done.
Yeah. So now, taking it off. When you're taking it off, you're going to want to go low again because you're loosening it.
And you're always going to want to take the bottom one off first.
Yes.
And the reason for that is so the baby doesn't just start flying if you take this one off and go flying backwards. So you take it, you undo it like this.
Yeah.
Then
when you start to do the top one, you're going to want to have a hand just there, just so the baby doesn't slip off, because they might be squirmy, excited to get out. Just like that.
And you want to slide your baby like this.
Yeah, right underneath the armpit. Just like that. You can sit it down. And that is how you tie and take off a baby with a scarf.
Paper cutting is one of the most important types of Chinese folk art. They are often used to decorate doors and windows. Usually, the artworks are made of red paper, because red is associated with festivals and happiness in Chinese culture. But other colors were also used. Paper cuts always symbolize luck and happiness. The most famous animals in Chinese paper cutting are chicken and fish. Because the chicken represents blessing and the fish represents wealth. In addition, there are many meaningful symbols and patterns in the paper cutting. Hello everyone, I'm Junli. I came from China. Today, I'd like to show you how to make Chinese traditional paper cutting. Let's make a simple paper cutting. A fish with lotus tail means you have prosperity every year. At the beginning, fold the rectangle paper in the middle. Then divide the length into 3 parts, and the right third is the tail part. Now, draw a lotus flower in this place. When the fish tail is finished, draw a half circle to make the body of the fish. Don't forget to draw the fins. Now, draw a circle as eye. Make sure the eyes and the body are connected. Finally, make some details for the body. The shaded parts will be cut off. Take a pair of scissors and cut out the small fish along the outline. When you do it, be careful and slowly. Make sure that the small fish is perfect and not cut into pieces. When finished the outside and cut off the shaded parts. Now unfold it and the fish is ready. Decorate my little fish with colored paper. Cut off the excess colored paper. In the end, glue round eyeballs to the cute fish. Thanks for watching, and may you have prosperity every year.
Who knew that you can make something so beautiful with just paper and scissors? Thank you to Junli for sharing your art and giving us the knowledge to try out Chinese paper cutting at home. Did anyone at home try along with Muiz and I? Post a picture or a comment and tell us how it turned out.
I mean, this is nothing compared to the incredibly intricate work we saw at the beginning of that video, but I do appreciate the time that she took to be able to make something that even somebody like me and Abdullah could follow along to. That is very appreciated. Also, thank you to Nicole and Melody for showing us how to wrap a baby. Honestly, I didn't have any idea that something so simple and practical could also have such an important cultural significance. Now, that was only a small clip from their cultural episode, so make sure that you do check out our website, saskatoonfolkfest.com, to catch the full version later on this fall.
Now we will hear from Principal Pete Chief from the Cree, about Cree language and the renaming of the Confederation Park School to Wakatoan School. They will discuss how the change came about, what indigenous protocols were used to determine the new name, how the school reflects Cree values for the entire community, and will continue to evolve.
After that, I'm thrilled to announce that we're going to have two segments from our own pavilion, Pakistan. First, you're going to see two young, talented dancers, Aima and Hanya, who are going to be dancing to the song Dil Se Maine Dekha Pakistan. After that, we're going to have Sohail sing the song Mere Watan, Pyare Watan, which is from the 60s.
I'll tell you, I've been to your school a couple times, and let me tell you, there's nothing more warming the heart when you see our little brothers and sisters, you know, in kindergarten, but even the older ones speaking Cree, and then of course your grade 8 class deciphered that Cree syllabics.
Yeah,
what a wonderful thing that. So how does that fit in with the Cree language? That is it? I've heard that when you know the Cree syllabics, it's easier for you to understand Crees. What's your opinion about that?
when I was a Cree teacher, that was one of the things that, again, you know, trying to figure out what is the best method to teaching language, because each symbol is a sound. The children actually pronounce the words; they would pronounce them correctly.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're teaching them the Roman orthography, which is your alphabet,
yeah,
that's where children start to get mixed up in the pronunciation. In the Cree Roman orthography, in the Cree alphabet, there are 4 consonants that sound differently than in the English alphabet. So in those 4 consonants are C, P, K, and T. So that's why sometimes you hear students mispronouncing words. Whereas if you taught them the syllabics, they recognize that symbol is this sound, pa, or ta, or ka, or cha. back then I taught Slavics when I was a language teacher at Westmount way back when. And kids picked up and pronounced words a lot better than they would if you were teaching standard Roman orthography. The methods that we primarily use are Dr. Graymorning, the accelerated second language acquisition method.
Yes.
And then also TPR, so total physical response, and also with syllabics.
So could you elaborate on that process of engaging your community and the elders and stuff like that?
When we started this process on changing the name of the school, I wanted to get the advice of our elders. We do have elders that we use that always help us and support us in a lot of things, in a lot of ceremonies and things we do at school. So I wanted to utilize them, and so I met with them numerous times before we went ahead to proceed with the name change. And one of the things that I was getting, as well as some feedback from our division, was getting the voice of students, which was important as well. So we did that. Then at the one particular meeting, we began talking about what this is going to mean for our community, for our children, the families that come to this school. And so it's going to have a huge impact on these children, is what the elders were talking about and what they felt. And so they said, because of that, just like how we as First Nations people, or as Neheo, how we as Cree people get our Cree names, our traditional names, we should do this the same way. I mean, make sure that whatever name is chosen has been spoken over. A big dig is what they had said. It's almost like the blessing of the name. So they said, would you be able to go home? And I'm originally from Anya Lake. And they asked me, would you be able to go home and do that? And I said, yeah, I could. I said, I can and I will. And so I went home, and I went to a ceremony with my uncle, by uncles, and then it was there that the name came to us, I'll say. So I didn't go there with any particular suggestions or anything, but the name came from there, and then it kind of worked out exactly what some of the ideas were from the students, and then what the elders thought about the potential name of this. And so when I brought it forward to them, I said, this is the name that was given. They automatically, it was agreed upon. And not only that, because of the work that we do here, the philosophy around what the school and the work that we do for the students. And it was, Wahutu, and when you think about that name, it just doesn't mean about relations. It doesn't mean about human relations or kinship. It also talks about knowing who they are and knowing who their relations are. I'll briefly tell you the story that was told to me in regards to this name. My late grandfather told a story about how we have to make sure to teach our children about their relations. And I'm not talking about their human relations, but they need to know about relations are when they leave, when they go outside. So, and this is where this whole idea about land-based education came from. Making sure that children understand what this plant is, what are those birds, what are the animals, and how they're related to. Those are your relations. And you take our children outside and teach them about Mother Earth, then in a sense, those are those relations that are going to start directing them, knowing who they are. People ask me, are students fluent in the language? And I said, no, they're not fluent in speaking Cree. They speak Cree, but they're not fluent, but they're certainly fluent in knowing who they are. Children need to feel proud of who they are, and then that's where they'll start learning. They'll know, this is my language. This is who I am, and I need to now learn this language. Yeah, and that's what we do, and I'm really, I'm just really, again, just proud to be working for, to be placed here, to be, again, that you come to work each and every day. And I start the day off always with my Cree word of the day. Always greet the students in the Cree language every morning, and then I always start off with Cree word of the day, and it feels good.
It's really great to be able to see so many young people helping with Folk Fest this year. That was a lovely performance by the Pakistani Pavilion. The second song that you actually saw there, Mere Watan, Pyare Watan, it roughly translates to something like, "Oh my beloved homeland," or "Oh my country, my beloved country." And it's a type of patriotic song similar in content to something like a national anthem. Once again, thank you for those performances from the Pakistani Pavilion.
And what a great way to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Cree language program. A big thanks to Principal Pete Chief and Robert Doucette for their informative discussion on the traditional community engagement. Wawatoan means relationships in Cree, very fitting for this program and Culture Connect.
Now, I have two questions for you. One, do you like bread? And two, do you like fried food? I know my answer for me. If you answered yes to both of those questions, then you're going to love this next food demonstration from the Hungarian Society of Saskatoon. Romeo and Robbie are going to show us how to make langos, which is a popular Hungarian dish of fried bread and various delicious toppings.
Well, I'm already hungry. But following that will be another song from the Chinese Pavilion. If you missed Jennifer's performance last night, you can find it through Facebook or YouTube. She plays the Ruan Shen, a traditional Chinese plucked instrument with a 2,000-year-old history. Take it away, Jennifer. But before that, my apologies to Jennifer. Yesterday we said she was performing the rowing song, but it was Jiang Nan Chun, and tonight she's performing the rowing song.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ron. I'm with the Hungarian Society of Saskatoon and our Folk Fest Pavilion. And today, we are very excited to have two special guests, the Vilmos brothers, Romeo and Robbie.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ron.
What are we making today?
Well, today what we'll do is our traditional langosh. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the water, sugar, then we'll throw in the milk, then of course the dry yeast. So we'll put in the oil, which is 6 tablespoons of that. Yeah, but exactly, it is important to aerate the flour, so as you pour it in, just sift the flour.
Absolutely not.
Now look at that, what a beauty. This will take a few minutes, of course, to mix, so we'll just probably be back as soon as this gets mixed up, and we'll show you what it looks like.
While Romy is putting the salt,
we'll just add this to it.
The other secret ingredient is rum.
That's perfect. All right, everybody, so I think our dough is ready to go. You're gonna kind of roll it into a little ball, okay? So what you do with that is that you kind of grab the outside or the sides and you just push and push in until you really have a ball and you really have to stretch the top of it. So let's take a look at what this dough is supposed to look like. Normally, I really hope that this dough isn't properly, but normally it should at least double in its size, okay? So let's take a quick look at this, and oh my gosh.
That's more than
double.
double.
Look at that, what a beauty. We'll make them a little bit bigger. Really what happens is, if you have children, you can make them smaller. If you have friends over, you can make them bigger, but it really doesn't really matter if it's 1.5 or 150 or 140 grams, it doesn't really matter. Just make a nice, almost like you're holding an apple, okay? And all you do is just roll, just like you would roll a bun. So really kind of push in the middle and you stretch. You gotta stretch slowly so you actually don't break the dough, okay? So just really use the palm of your hands, like from the top, as you can see, and then from the bottom, just really just pull on it and nice and slow until you get a really, I'd say about, like you mentioned, a good 8 to 10 inches.
Keep that in mind, this was the bigger portion, so that's
yeah,
probably going to be
this is
10,
his
12%.
portion, that's why.
This is my portion.
Now look at that. Robert's going to help me with this because, of course, this is his portion. And what's going to happen sometimes, the middle wants to push up, to bubble up, but you can push down gently on it so you don't break through it. You just push down in the middle so that you actually have the middle of it cooking too. Have for about, so we start with 100, 150 pounds, and of course, every time when you make something in a mass quantity, everything just mixes up better. Everything is just guaranteed will taste better.
All right, guys, we spent a lot of time in the kitchen. I am starving after watching you guys cook all of this, and now we're going to do for a really important part of it, and that's dressing our langosh. So Romeo, we have a beautifully cooked langosh here. What are we putting on this now?
So this one, we're gonna dress it traditionally in the Hungarian way we usually dress it. Okay, so we're gonna start, and very important, you gotta start with the garlic sauce. Again, remember the garlic sauce is really just garlic, water, paprika, and salt, and a little bit of oil. Okay, so you're just gonna mix this up a little bit and just really just push that because you really want a little bit of a garlic taste on this. You can put as much as you want or as little as you want. Really, it's just to your flavor. And of course, you can be as generous as you want with the cheese. Look at that. Look at that dough. This is the way it's supposed to break away. Of course, you're gonna get messy while you eat this. You can put extra cheese on it, and let's give it a taste.
Enjoy.
It's just the way I like it.
Hi, I'm Jade with the Irish Pavilion. Folkfest means so much to me because I enjoy teaching about my culture, and it gives me an opportunity to learn about others' unique cultures. I love Folkfest. It's been a huge part of my life. And therefore, that experience, I've expanded my awareness of other cultures and of my own.
Hello everyone, I am the youth ambassador from Bangladesh Pavilion, and today I feel really proud to be part of Folkfest because Folkfest has given me opportunity to represent my culture, my living of style in my home country, and how we live our cultures every day. We got to show our dancing style, our food, and all the things we do, such as clothing as well. and I feel proud that this year I get a chance to represent my country as an ambassador. Thank you, Folkfest, for giving me the chance.
Folkfest has always been a place of excitement, joy, and awe, as I celebrated not only the authenticity of my culture, but the beauty of others. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to share my passion for these diverse cultures and how they connect in a world where we can celebrate each one's uniqueness.
That was really beautiful. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your music with us.
And thank you to the Hungarian Pavilion for sharing their delicious recipe of longos. I don't know you, Abdullah, but even though I ate before coming here, that definitely made me hungry. Remember that all of these little bits and clips that you're seeing right now are only short extracts from the full videos, which are going to be online at our website that are going to be released in September. So make sure you check those out.
And you're right, Moise, I did get pretty hungry. But now we have a Q&A for the South Sudan Youth Ambassador, and following that will be a dance quartet, AMNN. The acronym stands for Amni, Melody, Nancy, and Nicole. These four girls are proud to represent the South Sudan Pavilion through their dance. They perform a range of genres from Afro hip-hop to dancehall to folk dance.
Then, unfortunately for my stomach, We have another cooking demonstration from the Filipino community. Rosalie is going to show us how to make pickled chayote, and that's very similar to like squash or cucumbers. When it's pickled, it tastes amazing with things like sausages and rice. Let's get cooking.
Hello, my name's Jeff Siemens. I live in Sherbrooke, and it's in Saskatchewan in Canada. Welcome. What is the weather in South Sudan?
Hi, my name is Melody from the South Sudanese Pavilion. The weather in South Sudan is usually very hot. It can vary from 20 to 50 degrees Celsius.
Johnson Langoya, Mepa Joe, and Benotella Choliki Yom Twin, Isiri Malumani, Kitchener, Ontario. Mr. John Okor, Mepa Nikwara, and Benotella Wanki Yom Twin, Hideo. Mr. Joseph Oyuak, Mepa Nikwara, and I am the current leader in Kitchener, Ontario, 2016. Watch Medit Botla Wimon, Santa Okot, Dako Pakayol, and I am the leader since Winky Bull, Nyapa Nicola Okot. Watch Ken Butler did a watch. Mema Green. Rubana Choli and a pro one. Make one one culture, Ilobolaya. Madonna Choli and a pro one.
Here we're going to use fresh chayote fruit. There's 3 pieces that we're going to use. Okay, make sure they're clear and don't blemish on the vegetable. A half piece of bitter gourd, or in the Philippines we call it ampalaya. 1 piece of carrot, a half piece of red bell pepper, 1 inch of ginger, 6 cloves of garlic, and some shallots. Apple cider vinegar, and for pickling we're going to use a pickling salt or just a simple rock salt, some raisins, and some peppercorns. For our equipment, vegetable cutter, that's decorative, or to use a plain knife, that will be fine. Of course, we have a peeler, and I have previously sterilized some preserving bottles to store our pickles. I have also a cheesecloth because we will squeeze our vegetables before we actually mix them together. So we'll start with our main ingredient, chayote. Before we start peeling, of course, the whole piece, and then we'll cut the chayote in half so we can remove that seed. Here we use our decorative vegetable cutter. We've peeled the carrots now. Now we'll make the carrots into flowerets. How we do it? We cut the sides so that they will look like flowers. There you are. Some little carrot flowerets. We remove the inner seeds so that only the skin is used, and then we slice thinly. As I said, this is optional. I like it in my pickles because it's crunchy and it doesn't have the bitter taste anymore. Just cut the red bell pepper into thin strips. Our shallots, pick the small shallots. Just peel them and you can slice them in half, or if they're small enough, just use a whole one for your pickles. So we've cut the rest of our ingredients. So that's the ginger strips and slices of garlic. We're now ready to put our pickling salt on the vegetables. So that's 1/4 cup of pickling salt. Mix them because that will help dehydrate our vegetables so that they become crispy. Okay, now we're ready to cover and put them in the fridge. After 6 hours, see they're a bit watery now. So what we'll do now is to rinse this in running water, and we use our strainer so that we wash out the salt so it doesn't become too salty. And then we will use our cheesecloth. We mix them all. We can now add our 1/4 cup of raisins, our 1 teaspoon of black pepper. See how colorful it is. We're now ready to pack them in bottles. But before that, let's make our apple cider syrup. Here's our stainless steel pan that we're heating. When it's heated, we put in our 1 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Now we put in our 3/4 cup of white sugar and our 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we will mix until all the sugar and salt has been diluted. While our syrup is simmering, let's prepare our veggies and put them in our pickling jars. Yes, leave some space on top because we're still putting our syrup here. The sugar in our syrup is now diluted, simmered it a bit, and now we're ready to put it off and cool it for a few minutes so that it's easier to handle it when we put it in our pickling jars. We have covered and sealed our pickles in the jars so that the flavor is all sealed in.
Thank you, Rosalie, for that great cooking demo. I may have to try making chayote pickles. They look so delicious and so good. And a big thank you to the AMNN. If you are just joining us today and you missed yesterday's show, then be sure to check out their other performance on YouTube or Facebook.
Now, we have a landmark performance from Emma and Paul with the Scottish Pavilion. This will likely be the first ever Folkfest performance of Portia Buell, which is mouth singing. It was actually originally used to accompany dancers when no instruments were available. The rhythm of the words replicates the rhythm of certain dance tunes. So, without further ado, please enjoy the Portia Buell by Emma and Paul.
Daddy nong ganinyo gator 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 Daddy nong ganinyo gator na clay ni Daddy nong ganinyo gator 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 Daddy nong ganinyo gator na clay ni Here built a school of bush hallisted a cool about the young see the canon nosta glenya Here built a school of bush hallisted a cool about the young see the canon nosta glenya Daddy nong ganinyo gator 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 Daddy nong ganinyo gator na clay ni nong ganinyo gator 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 Daddy nong ganinyo gator na clay ni Eels eel the yenny ha ha eels the eel kahalata Kono po the melody the canon nosta glenya Eels eel the yenny ha ha eels the eel sakarata Kono tor the melody the canon nosta glenya Daddy nong ganinyo gator 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 Daddy nong ganinyo gator na clay ni nong ganinyo gator 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 Daddy nong ganinyo gator na clay ni A lack and a massafika Maryland's a hackavish A lack and a massafika column in the glass Yeah, a lack and a massafika Maryland's a hackavish Can a massafika column in the glass I am on it is on Ikabana kana hira Porcher out of here. Ik up on a manicure going in the glass. I like in a Massifica, Maryland, Sahakavish. Can a Massifica call him in the glass? Yeah, I like in a Massifica, Maryland, Sahakavish. Can a Massifica call him in the glass? I am on it, it is on. Ik up on a conic here to corn at the glass. Portia man conic here, boo, late and out of here. Ik up on a conic here to corn at the glass. I like in a Massifica, Maryland, Sahakavish. Can a Massifica call him in a glass? Yeah, I like in a Massifica, Maryland, Sahakavish. Can a Massifica call him in the glass? Asamona kini in mona kini mona skada isha porchatini kini mona fada asamona kini in mona skada isa porchatini mon kini mona kada isa porchakir ika kir ida kana skada isa porchakir mon kini mona skada isa porchakir ida mona skada isa porchatir ida king in mona skada bona kini in mona skada isa porchatini in mon kini mona hada isa bona kini mon kini mona skada isa porchatini in mon kini mona skada.
Good job, Emma and Paul. That was an amazing performance. I was absolutely blown away. We are delighted that you chose to bring something new for your performance at FolkFest 2021. That was Emma singing, Portia Buell, Scottish Mouse singing. I can't wait to hear more at future FolkFest events. And what a great way to continue our virtual tour of Sri Lanka. Stay tuned for part 3.
That really was a unique performance, but up next, we still have some really cool things coming up for you. Firstly, the Fair Martial Arts with the Philippines Pavilion. The first performance that you're going to see is the Boxing Tiger, which translates to tiger boxing, and the form incorporates self-defense techniques. After that will be Kali, which uses hard bamboo sticks to strike and defend. But before that, Adrian's going to tell us a bit about sports in the Philippines with the next Q&A.
Hey, I'm Nick Fransu from Q98 in North Battleford. The summertime is jam-packed with great activities. Can't wait for one of my favorites, FolkFest. The culture, the pavilions, the singing, the dancing, the music, the food. Oh, man, and one of the best places to find all the above is the Filipino Pavilion. I have a question for the Filipino Youth Ambassador. Is there a national sport? Failing that, is there a favorite sport that people like to play from the Philippines?
Mabuhay! My name is Adrian, and I'm from the Philippines Pavilion. Thank you for this wonderful question about the national sport of the Philippines and the kind of sports that Filipinos like to play. So the national sport of the Philippines officially is called arnis, and it's actually quite an ancient form of martial art where participants fight with bamboo sticks. But more recently, if you go to the Philippines, you'll find a lot of Filipinos like to play basketball in the streets, which is arguably the most popular sport that you see across the country. So thank you for your question.
Attention. Bow to me. Each other. On guard. Stop. Stop. On guard. Go. Stop. Touch the stance. Watch me. Each other. Shake hands. Please. Now sit there. Pretty well. Lower. On guard. And X. On the base. Let go. Carlos. Tuzo. Third pass. Tension. Away.
What a fascinating demonstration. Ferry Martial Arts teaches several styles of traditional Filipino martial arts. It is an internationally recognized martial arts school with several locations in Saskatoon. Visit ferromartialarts.com for more information.
Definitely a unique performance in today's Folk Fest lineup. Next up, we have a couple of personal statements from our fellow ambassadors and more questions from our sponsors. I want to thank everyone for the great questions so far, and I have to tell you that as youth ambassadors, it was our privilege to respond to them. Unfortunately, Abdullah and I have actually reached the end of our reign as your host tonight. Thank you so much for having us. I hope you had as much fun as we did. Keep the comments coming because as virtual hosts, it's great to have some feedback from the audience.
And I know you're sad to see us go, but I am positive that our fellow youth ambassadors will do, well, almost as good as the job as we have today. Thank you and good night.
Hi, I'm Nicole from the South Sudanese Pavilion. I fondly remember FolkFest 2016, where I got to speak about South Sudanese traditions and the history behind paintings and statues. Ever since 2009, I've been attending, volunteering, and enjoying FolkFest as it is very important and highly celebrated within my community and with my family. Culture makes a great deal of our identity, and we all have a choice to embrace it and share it with others. This year, I've got to meet like-minded people from different ethnic backgrounds, and it is very empowering to see unity through diversity and multiculturalism.
The importance of multiculturalism is that people can come together to learn and understand other cultures' way of living. By doing so, societies can become a more peaceful environment due to others' deeper knowledge of diversity.
Hello, I'm Serena Gersher, Ward 8 City Councilor. As a youth ambassador, I would love to know your favorite thing to showcase at your pavilion. When I was younger, I used to dance at the Jewish pavilion, and my favorite thing to showcase was our dances as well as the yummy food we had. And so I would love to hear your thoughts around the things that you love to showcase at your pavilion.
Hi, my name is Jessie Wood, and I am a youth ambassador from the Scottish Pavilion. As a youth ambassador, I think that dancing is my favorite thing to showcase at Folkfest. The sword is my favorite dance to show because people are interested in the swords that are on the stage. The history behind the dance is also quite interesting. The story behind the sword is that people who were going into battle would dance over the swords before battle, and if they touched the sword, then it was bad luck for battle. And if they didn't, then they had good luck.
That's a really good question. I think every pavilion has its own food, and people are dancing its own traditional dance on the stage. It's very great to see people doing this together.
Namaste, I'm Apexia from the Nepal Pavilion. Thank you for the great question. My favorite thing to showcase at my pavilion would be the cultural dances. I feel that it's not only just fun and entertaining, but it's an easy way to connect with others. And I also think that it's a great way to learn bits about other cultures while having fun. Thank you.
Hi, it's Christy from 900 CKBI in Prince Albert. I've always loved the Ukrainian Karpaty Pavilion. From the food to the dancing, it's always such a celebration. Ukraine is known for its festivals, from music to cultural and arts. Tell us about the biggest festival in Ukraine.
Similar to Ukraine, the Ukrainian community in Saskatoon hosts various festivals. The many Ukrainian dance groups facilitate Ukrainian dance competitions in the spring. Another festival held in the spring is Vesna Festival, and the largest Ukrainian festival in Saskatoon is Ukrainian Day in the Park, which this year's event will have a virtual format live streamed on Saturday, August 28, 2021 at 12 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Hi everyone, my name is Charlene Boziak. I'm a new board member on Dance Saskatchewan, and I'm very pleased to ask this next question. As my Boziak side is Ukrainian, we hail from Dauphin, Manitoba, sometimes considered the Ukrainian capital of Canada. So for the Ukrainian dancers, how many different regions of Ukraine are you going to be representing at Folkfest with your dances? And are there any dances that are specific for certain times of the year, such as Christmas and Easter?
The Karpaty Pavilion represents Western Ukraine, especially the Carpathian Mountains. The regions within the Western Ukraine include Zakarpattia, Volyn, Halichina, Bukovina, and Polisia.
Hey, it's Nick Nielsen from Country 104 FM in Kindersley, and I know Saskatchewan's always had a huge Ukrainian heritage population here. I think it's the biggest Ukrainian population outside of the Ukraine, if corner gas taught me anything at the very least. But I'm curious to know, is there anything in everyday Saskatchewan culture that we kind of associate with Saskatchewan, but it really originally comes from Ukrainian culture? And we all know pierogies are a big staple of Ukrainian culture when it comes to food, but is there any other really, really cool dishes that come out of the Ukraine that we enjoy here in Saskatchewan too?
At the Karpaty Pavilion, patrons enjoy our menu, which includes vareniki, or pierogies, holubtsi, or cabbage rolls, borscht, beet soup, kovbasa, and great desserts such as poppy seed roll.
Hi, it's Christy.
Well, I hope you've been enjoying the At this point, as I come back with Kishore here, just want to thank our hosts from the Youth Ambassadors from the first round. That was amazing. And what great, great activities that we had to focus on as well, and be participants of what we can do with scissors these days, hey? We've got a lot of people to thank as we kind of segue to the next half of this show. So I want to just start by thanking our board colleagues, Kishore. So, Winnie, Anika, Robert, Effie, Daisy, Daisy and Janine, just thanks so much for all of your leadership behind the scenes. This is quite the year. But with our technology, we now have this documented forever. So that'll be something that'll be very, very, very cool for people to watch for the generations to come. I want to thank our pavilion managers. They're essential, of course, in liaisoning between the Folkfest as an organization and the community groups who comprise our membership. So thank you to you, and of course to all the member pavilions who participated this year and who were not able to participate as well, because it is really during this time that we've got to do what we can do to be safe and keep to think about this organization sustainably, and of course with our integrity intact in terms of moving forward. So just the 21 groups that have been scrolling on the screen here, just thank you to them, and the logos from all of the other groups in terms of their support to the Folkfest. Just thank you so much. We are just so grateful to our sponsors and our media partners. And I want to thank our summer staff. Some of them are just off screen here: Raj, Nikita, Jalen, Logan, and our production crew. I'm looking at one of them right now who's keeping us all in check here: Damon and Dan and Dennis and Deborah and Ian, of course. And I also want to take a special moment here to acknowledge Teresa, our executive director with Folkfest. We couldn't pull together our Folkfest in a typical year, never mind in the last 2 years that we've had. So a big special thank you to Teresa for all of the efforts that she's done behind the scenes and the side of the scenes and even in trivia to make this happen. So thank you, Teresa. Now over to you, Kishore.
Thank you, Lenore. I echo my thanks to all involved. Additionally, I want to recognize the hundreds of volunteer performers who made this virtual Folkfest possible. I know that you will agree with me that we have some incredible and diverse talent right here in Saskatoon. I'm so proud to see how our Folkfest community banded together to showcase multiculturalism this weekend. Additionally, thanks to all who submitted questions to help make Culture Connect more interactive. Our youth ambassadors were excited to receive your questions, and we hope you enjoyed seeing and hearing the answers. Speaking of our youth ambassadors, have you been watching the games in Tokyo this year? Well, no worries if you were like my family, because we have something even better. The Greek youth ambassadors, Kyra and Greg, hosted our first youth ambassadors games this summer, and their games include Greek food and dance, which sounds pretty fun to me. They wanted me to ask the audience, what was your favorite sport this summer? Share in the comments while we enjoy the show, and back to Lenore.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kishore. I know, I mean, we're kind of running a cultural Olympics right now, and off screen there's a whole game of a paper ball going on here too, so I tell you, there's lots to be documenting. We've got another great cultural presentation from our amazing youth ambassadors as we head into the second part of our virtual tour across the central regions of Sri Lanka. If you missed part one, you should definitely check back. On YouTube, there'll be the full segments there, and they're featuring cultural dance and dress from Eastern and Central and Uva provinces in Sri Lanka. Watch in the comments section of the screen for additional information. But first, I've got a question for Manisha, the youth ambassador from Sri Lanka Pavilion. Okay, what is your most important cultural celebration and why? And how about your favorite? For those of you that are tuning in right now, please let us know your comments, which celebration is special to you. Now, let's hear from Manisha.
Ayubowan, thank you so much for your question. My name is Manisha from the Sri Lankan Pavilion, and the most important or popular celebration in Sri Lanka is the Sinhala and Tamil New Year. This celebration marks the beginning of a new year and the ending of the old year. This celebration is based on the position of the sun, moving from the house of Pisces to the house of Aries, and it also marks the arrival of spring and the ending of the harvest season, which lets the farmers collect their harvest and lets us all celebrate the event with fresh foods. Some things that we do to prepare for the new year are cleaning the house, purchasing new clothes, and buying a new clay pot for milk rice. There is a period of time called the Punya Kalaya or the Nonagata, which is a neutral time where all business and work-related activities come to a stop and people can perform their religious activities. So for example, for me, I would go to the temple, and during an auspicious time, the whole nation would make milk rice, and in addition to that, we would also make sweetmeats and oil cakes. During the New Year, we pay respects to our parents and the elders by offering sheaves of betel leaves in exchange for money and for blessings. We also do transactions with the well because this is our way of showing respect for the water that we get. During an auspicious time, the whole family would gather around the table and eat together. We also play games with our friends to build stronger foundation and to promote peace and harmony. We would also go and visit our relatives and our friends and exchange the delicious sweets and food and eat together with them, as we believe this is the best day to renew all the relations. The Sinhala and Tamil New Year promotes togetherness and harmony. I hope this answers your question, and thank you so much for the question.
උඩරට කඳු කරයේ බැස යන සුන්දරියේ සුකුමල දුන් හිඳ සුරතලියේ ඔබ ගෙනයට සිරියගෙනේ සුකුමල දුන් හිඳ සුරතලියේ ඔබ ගෙනයට සිරියගෙනේ දුකට වටලා මීදුම පතලා සිරියෙන් රඟනු සැටියේ ඔබට රිදෙයි නම් එමෙහිට වැටියන් දුම් හිඳ මනමාලේ ඔබට රිදෙයි නම් එමෙහිට වැටියන් දුම් හිඳ මනමාලේ විනෝද වෙන්නට අපි දඩයමේ ගිහිල්ලා තාමත් මතකයි සිදු වෙච්ච දේ එදා දුරබින් තැන්නේ වැදි ගමකටත් නැවිල්ලා මහ කැලයේ වැද්දන් දැකගත්තා වැද්දන් ඇවිදින් අප සැම පිළිගත්තා ප්‍රීතියෙන් ඕයේ ඔජායේ
Hello, yes, I'm Gregory, and this is my sister Kira, and we are the youth ambassadors for the Greek Pavilion.
We wanted to thank our sponsors, Sask Culture and the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan, for sponsoring this project.
As you know, the 2020 Tokyo Olympics are being held now, but did you know that the original Olympics were in Greece?
Originally, men competed in events such as long jump, shot put, javelin, pancration, boxing, and equestrian events such as chariot racing.
We've actually been to Olympia, where early games were held and the torch is lit every year.
We saw the 100-meter track, the statues of the original Olympians, and we also saw where the location of the flame was. And now, we're going to go meet our competitors and join the games.
In honor of the Olympics, we've decided to host our own. Welcome to the Youth Ambassador Games.
And please welcome our competitors, Abdullah from the Pakistan Pavilion, Ritu from the Indian Pavilion, and Abhishek from the Nepal Pavilion.
Our first event is javelin throw. In a regular competition, the participants would throw a long metal spear as far as they could, and the throw was only valid if the spear landed point first in the ground. However, rules for the Youth Ambassador Games are different.
Today, our competitors are going to attempt to throw their short wooden sticks instead and see how far they can throw them. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right.
Excited for this.
Abdullah, you start. Oh, look at that throw. You made it to the third point. All right. Go ahead, Ritu. Oh, and she throws it farther. All right, last one.
Wow.
Look at that, we have a winner. Good job, Abhishek. You guys ready for your second game?
Sure. Our second event is long jump. Traditionally, competitors run down a 40-meter track before jumping off one foot and landing in a sandy pit.
But unfortunately, we don't have access to that much sand. So instead, we're going to be substituting the sandy pit for the tile floor. Today, our competitors are going to be jumping from a static position, meaning they will start not moving, and we're going to see who can jump the farthest. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, we're going to start with Abdullah. Ooh, that was far. That's 3 tiles. That's impressive. Ritu, can you beat it? Yes, she did. All right.
Okay.
All right, you want to redo?
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right. You ready?
I'm gonna win it.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Oh, and you win by like half a tile. Good job, you guys.
Nope.
All right, you
Thank
ready
you.
for the final event?
Yep.
Finally, everyone will compete in a game of discus. This game was originally part of the pentathlon. It is now its own sport. Competitors throw their wooden discs as far as they can, and whoever throws the farthest is crowned the winner.
Today's game is also going to be a little different. Our competitors are going to take their paper plate discs, and we're also going to see who can throw them the farthest. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, you know how it goes. Abdullah, you start. Oh, that was a good throw. Nice and even. Oh, and Ritu's landed further. He got lucky. Oh, and it falls short. All right, congratulations, Ritu.
If camera got me. Let's head to the award ceremony. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I think I deserve this.
Congratulations.
No, you don't.
Congratulations, you guys. You competed in your first Youth Ambassador Games.
Thank you.
And remember, you're all winners.
Did you know that pancration was the original form of MMA?
Or that the first Olympic Games were held in 776 BC?
Olympics are the most well-known thing Greeks have created, besides democracy and math. But what about the games as we know them now?
Today, the first modern Olympics were held in Athens in 1896, where 12 countries and 280 athletes competed in 43 different events.
The Olympics have grown much larger, with more countries competing and more sports being added every year.
Before the Games, the torch is lit in Olympia. It is then brought to the airport and flown to the host country, where it is then run through a relay and finally brought to the Olympic opening ceremony.
Now let's skip to after the games. There are many celebrations that happen after the athletes come home, many of which are celebrated with cultural food.
You ready to go make some of our own?
Yep.
All right, today we're going to be making a classic Greek dish known as the gyro. It is not gyro, it's gyro.
This dish comes in 2 forms and can be found almost anywhere in Greece. The first is a souvlaki pita, which is self-explanatory, and the second is a gyro, which is a pita with sliced meat rather than chunks of meat.
This meat can be chicken, pork, lamb, or beef. To make it, you must begin with a pita and start spreading tzatziki. Tzatziki is a dip, usually comprised of cucumber, garlic, and Greek yogurt, and you can also add dill, lemon, olive oil, salt, and black pepper. And you want to just spread it in a nice even layer on the top of the pita. The second step is to take tijanitas patatas, or French fries, and put those on top. And I know, it sounds like a ridiculous concept. Why would you put French fries on a pita? But I promise it tastes good. And you want to lay them out also in a nice even pile on top. Then you take your souvlaki, which is some kind of meat. In this case, I believe it's pork. And you put it on top of the pita. And finally, you can add toppings, which usually consists of tomates, or tomatoes, and cremilla, or onions. Toppings vary from different regions of Greece. Everyone kind of has their own way of doing it. But this is usually the most basic. And finally, you wrap it up, and it's ready to eat.
Wow, those gyros were fun to make. What are your favorite toppings?
Honestly, I like mine pretty plain. A bit of tzatziki, potatoes, and souvlaki.
A big part of our culture is celebrating together with music, food, and dance.
There are three main dances that are performed at most big parties: the calamatino, the zebekiko, and the trio trio.
Today we're going to teach you how to trio trio.
You ready?
Yep.
Hello, folksters. I'm Ritu Patel, a youth ambassador with the India Pavilion, and I'm super excited to be here with you tonight at Culture Connect. How amazing were those performances? Thank you very much, Manisha. We learned so much about your pavilion, both from your enlightening answer as well as the informative second tour of Sri Lanka. I would also like to say thank you to Kira and Gregory for sharing with us their Greek history and tradition. That was so much fun. To learn how to join in on the Greek dance, please be sure to tune in for their debut of their full episode next month.
Hey, I'm Shakti. I'm also one of the youth ambassadors with the India Pavilion, and I will be your co-host for the rest of the evening. Thanks for having me. Coming up next, we have more performances from the Nepal Pavilion. This is the second segment of several dances that have been designed to showcase fashion and dance from different regions. That will be followed by a Q&A about the yummy food at the Scottish Pavilion.
After that, the Saskatoon Highland Dance Association is performing Flora MacDonald's Four-Step Fancy. This dance is said to have been performed for the first time in 1746. According to the legend, there was a bounty out for Scotland's Bonnie Prince Charlie. And in order to help him escape unnoticed, Flora MacDonald performed this dance high on a hill to distract the enemy while he sailed away to France. Let's watch.
Hi, I'm Cal from 105 CJVR, and we always bring our family to a folk fest. We always have a great time there in Saskatoon. Now, I'm familiar with haggis, of which I've never tried, but what other traditional foods are offered in the Scottish Pavilion?
Hi Cal, I'm Kiva from the Scottish Pavilion. Thank you for your question. In the past, many dishes have been served, including neeps and tatties, sticky toffee pudding, haggis nachos, shortbread, and my personal favorite, Loch Ness slushies. I hope you get to enjoy some of these tasty dishes soon.
Wow, that was some really great cultural dancing. Many thanks to Saskatoon Highland Dance Association and the Nepal Pavilion for their performances. Now, because we at Folkfest love everything dance related, I am super excited to answer a question from Dance Saskatchewan.
Hi there, my name is Elaine Thaler and I'm the administrator at Dance Saskatchewan. Indian dance is one of my favorite dances to watch. I'm quite familiar with Bhangra dancing, but I would like to know a little bit more about the history of Kathak dance. What are the bells called that the dancers wear, and why do they wear them? What other items do Kathak dancers use in their dancing?
Thank you, Elaine, for such a great question. Kathak is one of the many dance forms in India known as classical dances. It is said to date back to the 4th century, and it originates from the northern part of India. The bells that are worn around the ankles by these dancers are a shared trait amongst most classical and many regional dances. They are called ghungroos by most Kathak dancers, but the term for them will vary because of the many languages spoken in India and the many dance forms that also use these bells. I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer, and I also use these bells whenever I perform. My dance teachers have always told me that these bells are usually used so that other dancers and the audience are able to hear the intricate and complex footwork that classical dance routines usually have. The bells help ensure that all the dancers in a group are all on point when it comes to timing of all the dance steps. These routines are often choreographed so that the sound of the bells go with the beats and rhythms of the music and almost add to the percussion aspects of the song. It's almost like tap dancing if you're thinking about it. The dance costumes usually consist of lehengas, gagra cholis, and anarkali salwars, which are all long and flowy, so that when the dancers do their characteristic turns or spins, also known as chukkers, the skirts will flow and look very elegant. I hope this answers your question and that you've learned some new things from me today.
Wow, long, but thank you very much for your informative answer. And I'm really excited to introduce this next performance of Ardhanareshwaram from the India Pavilion, which is my favorite pavilion because, hello. After that, we are in for a delicious virtual treat. Clark from the Chinese Pavilion will be showing us how to make black pepper pork pastries. These flavorful meat buns are very popular in street markets. But if you stay tuned, you will learn how to enjoy these pastries in the comfort of your own home. Let's get cooking.
Hello everyone, I'm Clark, the food manager of Chinese Pavilion for Folk Fest. I'm glad to show you today a food demonstration of the very famous dim sum in my hometown. It's called a black pepper pork pastry. So here we have 500 grams of all-purpose flour. So we put the flour into your dough mixer. And also, you want to add 20 grams of sugar, just regular white sugar. I have the whole tablespoon and a half tablespoon. So 6 grams of yeast, 250 ml water, adding here. I have 20 grams butter. It's been softened. Okay, that's everything, every ingredient for your dough. So we lift the thing, lock it, and turn on to speed 2. So here, 150 grams of the pastry flour, and we have 75 grams of butter, but not melted. Using your hand to crush the butter and mix with the flour. So you want your pastry dough very short, so it won't be hardened with the gluten. So when you're done, this thing can be using your hand to make a block. So our dough mixer has been working on our regular dough for 5 minutes. So it's well mixed. So right now we can turn it off. I want it to be covered, or if you have like a plastic film, cover it and let it rest for 20 minutes. Keep the moisture in the dough. Okay, so right now, when the dough is resting, we're starting making the stuffings. So here is 750 grams of the ground pork. And we want to have some seasoning on there. So here is Chinese 5 spices, 2 teaspoons. So we will have very generous portion of black pepper, tablespoon, 2 of them, 2 tablespoons for your oyster sauce. So sesame oil, also 2 tablespoons. You wanted 5 tablespoons of soy sauce. Okay, that's how you're seasoning your ground pork. So let it just stir it for about like 3 minutes. So we need a chopped green onion in the pastry as the same with the pork. And chop it, finely chop it. So we have our pastry dough. We make it a little bit flat, and we want to portion it to 10 to 15 portions. Then we have our regular dough, which has been rested for 20 minutes. It's soft. So here how do we make this thing? We have one regular dough. Make it a round one. Using a roller pin to make it flat. And have one of your pastry dough and make a little folder with your regular dough like this. Wrap it like a little wrap. And make it flat again using a rolling pin to make it flat. Roll it. So get your meat. Put it in the center. And get a good pinch of your chopped green onion on the top. Then you can seal it. So this honey water will help you to get a golden brown of your pastry. You have your white sesame. Do a little bit sprinkle on top. So set your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Then throw it in for 25 minutes. Grab a piece and have a good taste.
Wow, didn't that look delicious?
It sure did.
Thank you, Clark, for sharing your recipe with us. One of the best parts from all these cooking demonstrations is watching how excited everyone gets to share with people a recipe that is so special to them. We all know how important food is to cultural celebrations. Now, you tell me, what is your most favorite cultural food? And comment down in the sections below. My personal favorite is a well-cooked dum biryani, although personally, all food is to die for. And don't forget, you can find the full recipe and tutorial on our website. And a big thanks to the India Pavilion for their dance performance. How about you, Shakti? What's your favorite?
Well, all this talk about food, I'm kind of hungry already, and I just can't choose one. So my favorites would be like idli and dosas. They're like basically made of the same thing, but they're cooked differently, so they taste different. And it's really good. Really, really, really good. Yeah. Thanks as well to the India Pavilion for that awesome dance. The next best thing to being on stage dancing is watching others dance. And I'm speaking from experience. It's awesome. Up next, our youth ambassadors from the Bangladesh Pavilion are going to answer a question about Bengali wildlife. Then there'll be a children's dance performance from the Saskatoon Bangla School.
Yes, Tristan, I also like pierogies. Thank you very much. But before we get into anything else, please join us for the final part of our virtual trip across Sri Lanka. This clip focuses on the southern regions. If you missed out, you can watch the first two parts on Facebook or YouTube. But stay with us now for the finale.
Hi, I'm Troy Cooper, and I'm the chief of the Saskatoon Police Service. In the movie Life of Pi, which is a movie based on a novel by Saskatoon author Jan Martel, we see a Bengal tiger, and that animal is often associated with Bangladesh. So I'm wondering, do they really have Bengal tigers in the wild in Bangladesh? And if so, what other natural wildlife would we find there?
Namaskar. We're from Bangladeshi Pavilion. My name is Deepika Chaudhary.
My name is Shobhik Ukilarko.
And thank you for asking the question to us.
The question is, do we have Royal Bengal tigers in Bangladesh anymore or not? Yes, we do, specifically in Sundarban. Sundarban is the mangrove forest in Bangladesh, which is the biggest mangrove forest in Asia.
It also covers an area of 10,000 kilometers square. And beside Royal Bengal tiger, we have lots of other animals too. Our national bird,
magpie,
and a lot of other animals such as bear, monkeys, deers, etc.
Thank you.
Thank you.
අමුදරු රැකගන්න අපට මාළු ලබා දෙන්න දෙවියනේ අප රැකගන්න අමුදරු රැකගන්න අපට මාළු ලබා දෙන්න දෙවියනේ අප රැකගන්න සුළංගමන්නේ සැර විදුලි කොටන්නේ සටපට ගාලා එන්න ගෙඩි පුපුරන්නේ වැල්ල නැගෙන්නේ ඔරුවේ හැපි බින්දෙන්නේ ඔරුවේ රුවල ඇකිලි යන්නේ මුදේ යමු මසුන් මරන්න යෙඹේ ඔරුව දියක් කරන්න අමුදරු රැක ගන්න අපට මාළු ලබා දෙන්න දෙවියනේ අප රැකගන්න අමුදරු රැකගන්න අපට මාළු ලබා දෙන්න දෙවියනේ රුවන් පුරේ කළුගම් රැකිනි බඳලෙල වාරඟට ගලන්නේ රුවන් පුරේ කළුගම් රැකිනි බඳලෙල වාරඟට ගලන්නේ රුවන් පුරේ සිරියාවයි සමන් දෙවිදු කරුණාවයි රුවන් පුරේ සිරියාවයි සමන් දෙවිදු කරුණාවයි රුවන් පුරය අපේ ගම තමයි රුවන් පුරය අපේ ගම තමයි ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ එළිය මිනිපුරයි ලෝමසි සාරා පැතිරෙන්නේ නමයි දුලඳුන් සොයාලා ඔබ එන්නේ මේ තමයි ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ එළිය මිනිපුරයි සිරිපානක යන්නේ ගමනේ නිවාගෙන සිත තුලිනේ සිරිපානන යන්නේ ගමනේ විඩා නිවාගෙන සිත තුලිනේ සමන්දෙ මිදු බලන රටයි ලෝසමතන පතන නමයි සමන්දෙ මිදු බලන රටයි ලෝසමතන පතන නමයි රුවන්පුරය අපේ ගම තමයි රුවන්පුරය අපේ ගම තමයි
আজি বাংলাদেশের হৃদয় হতে কখন আপনি তুমি অপরূপ রূপে বাহির হলে জননী আজি বাংলাদেশের হৃদয় হতে কখন আপনি তুমি অপরূপ রূপে বাহির হলে জননী ওগো মা তোমায় দেখে দেখে আঁখি না ফিরে তোমার দুয়ার আজি খুলে গেছে সোনার মন্দিরে ওগো মা
তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর ওই নূতনের কেতন হোড়ে কাল বসে ক্ষীর ঝড় তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর আসছে এবার অনাগত প্রলয় নেশায় নৃত্য পাগল সিন্ধু পারে সিংহদারে খলক ভেঙে ভাঙলো আগল আসছে এবার অনাগত প্রলয় নেশায় নৃত্য পাগল সিন্ধু পারে সিংহদারে খলক ভেঙে ভাঙলো আগল নৃত্য গহন অন্ধকূপে মহাকালের চণ্ড রূপে নৃত্য গহন অন্ধকূপে মহাকালের চণ্ড রূপে ভ্রমরা ধূপে বজ্র শিখার মশাল ভেঙে হাসছে ভয়ঙ্কর ওরে ওই হাসছে ভয়ঙ্কর তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর
ডান হাতে তোর খড়গ জলে বাহাত করে শঙ্কা হরণ ডান হাতে তোর খড়গ জলে বাহাত করে শঙ্কা হরণ দুই নয়নে স্নেহের হাসি ললাট নেত্র আগুন বরণ ওগো মা তোমার কি মূরতি আজি দেখি রে তোমার দুয়ার আজি খুলে গেছে সোনার মন্দিরে ওগো মা আজি বাংলাদেশের হৃদয় হতে কখন আপনি তুমি অপরূপ রূপে বাহির হলে জননী ওগো মা তোমায় দেখে দেখে আঁখি না ফিরে তোমার দুয়ার আজি খুলে গেছে সোনার মন্দিরে ওগো মা
তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর
ওগো মা
তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর তোরা সব জয় ধ্বনি কর
ওগো মা
Wow, how incredibly cute was that? Thank you to the Bangladesh Pavilion for that great youth dance. And what a way to cap off our tour across Sri Lanka.
Up next, we have the Kumintang Folk Dance Ensemble representing the Filipino Pavilion. They will be performing a dance called the array, meaning ouch in English. It's a flirtatious dance from the Spanish era that features joyful, lively steps and the use of tambourines.
Then please stay tuned for a really cool cultural episode from our Nepal youth ambassadors, Abhishek and Apixia. They will be teaching us how to do rangolis.
Sorry. I really enjoyed my role as a youth ambassador this year. One of the many highlights for me was being able to participate in the cultural episodes from other pavilions. I had fun learning Greek games and group dancing, and the sword dance just really kept me on my toes, quite literally.
Personally, our sari cultural episode was a highlight for me, as that was the first time I was wearing a sari, and I think I rocked it. Thanks, you guys. Now, back to the next segment. Everything about Rangoli is really beautiful, and it certainly makes you think about the permanence of art. Rangoli is made with a powder and is usually placed on the ground or the floor. So it has to be cleaned up after an event, or sometimes is washed away with the rain. Isn't that interesting?
It definitely is.
Yeah, I think so too. Our youth ambassadors have many more facts for you about Rangoli, as well as another Q&A, so please don't go anywhere.
tabletop using powdered limestone, flower petals, dry flour, colored sand, or natural dyes. But nowadays, it's more people usually just use synthetic dyes instead of natural dyes, which is what we have here today.
It's not known when the Rangoli was created, and it's not just mentioned in any history books or something, but in Hindu textbooks or so-called holy books of Hindu, like Mahabharata, Ramayana, and any other Vedas, they have mentioned the importance of Rangoli.
All right, so first of all, when we start to make a Rangoli, we choose what kind of shape you want. So you can make it into like any geometric shapes, or you can also draw animals if you're like good enough. And we can also do like flowers and everything. For today, he's gonna show us what we're gonna do.
Yeah, like she said, there's a variety of patterns for Rangoli, from a simple version to a complicated version. You can even draw your favorite pet if you could, but not for now. So from what I've seen, there is one certain pattern that most of the people usually did, and it's kind of like this. First, you draw one normal triangle, and then you draw the opposite of it. Then add a flower in the middle. flower of any shape that you like, and then add a circle, a quarter of a circle around the side of the triangles. And if you want, you can add something over here at the end, like, you know, circles or any flowers or any patterns that you know. And you just do it. It's easy. Just draw one normal triangle at the first. Yeah. And if you have any idea of any patterns, you can add it outside the rangoli that you made. Just take it like a little bit and then make it around like
Your pencil drawing.
Yeah.
Just outline it.
Just outline it. As for the now, we're done with patterns. Now the next step includes filling them with colors. For now, we're going to be using the colors that are in front of us. So I want you to take one color of your choice and then fill the patterns.
Sure. Currently, I volunteer myself as Vice President of Saskatoon Folk Fest. I have two questions for the youth ambassadors of Nepal. Nepal is a beautiful country with dynamic culture and a lot of mountains. So my first question is, I'm interested to know about other popular sport activities in addition to mountain hiking. My second question is about the Nepalese men's dress. The Nepalese men's traditional dress is unique. Can you explain more about it?
Namaste. I am Abhishek from Nepalese Pavilion. As for the sports, yeah, there is a lot of sports that has its own uniqueness. For example, chungi, dandibio, and itadhalai. From my childhood, itadhalai was my favorite game. In this game, you just throw a ball at 9 stones. Yes, I also find Nepal's men's dress very unique. The main reason for that is I think it is because this dress combines both traditional and modern dresses. As you can see, I'm wearing a coat, which is also a sign of modern dresses. And inside, I'm wearing daura and sural, which is also considered traditional dresses. So, as you can see, this dress combines both traditional and modern dresses. This is the reason why I think it's most unique.
That me? Hi, sorry, technical difficulties, I guess. Wow, who could have guessed that something so beautiful could be so simplistic?
Right?
Thank you, Abhishek and Apexia. That was only part of the cultural episode, so if you want to know more about Rangoli, you can find their full episode on our website later this month.
And thank you to Cumington Folk Dance Ensemble for their great performance. That looked so much fun. Up next, we have several Youth Ambassador personal statements, and then we have the very best part of Folkfest.
Now, we might be just the tiniest bit biased, but still, the annual Youth Ambassador Intercultural Dance, wow, that's a lot to say, is always my personal Folkfest favorite.
Unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to split into two groups to reduce contact, and then we each had to learn traditional choreography from our fellow group members. I hope you love our performances. We certainly love them, as we had a lot of fun.
Namaskar. My name is Deepika Chudhuri. I'm from Bangladeshi Pavilion. For me, Folkfest is a place where I gain lots of knowledge about other culture, religion, and their country's tradition. It creates an environment where everyone does not meet alone, but with other people working hard to represent their country's tradition, cultures, and ethnicity.
Vanakkam to everyone, Shakti here from the India Pavilion. Did you know that Vanakkam is the word used to greet someone in the language Tamil, which is one of the many languages spoken in India? Indian traditions have always been a major part of my life in many ways, from the food we eat and clothes we wear to treating people with respect, especially if they're older than us. I take pride in my culture and enjoy continuing to learn more about it. Folkfest is a great way for me to share my culture with others while learning new things about other cultures and traditions as well.
Culture and diversity are very important to me. Every culture is different, and learning about each of them can help us celebrate our differences and embrace our similarities.
Dobry den, my name is Zain. I'm from the Ukrainian Karpaty Pavilion. Folkfest to me is all about breaking down cultural and racial barriers that exist in our society. It is also about living collectively as one group.
Hi, I'm Howard with the Chinese Pavilion. It is my pleasure to introduce part 1 of this annual Youth Ambassador Intercultural Dance with our Scottish, Hungarian, Greek, and Nepal ambassadors. Now, please enjoy part 2 of the annual Youth Ambassador Intercultural Dance with our India, South Sudan, and Sri Lanka ambassadors.
Watching that made me feel incredibly happy. I think I did really well. That was pretty amazing, if I may say so myself. I would also like to say thank you to my fellow youth ambassadors for learning and sharing their dance with us. I had such an amazing time.
Honestly, me as well. But now it's time to head over to the Francophone Pavilion with the Raquette à Claquette. They will be playing Au Nom des Noms, meaning Oh No, They Know, which is a portrait of the families who make up the Francescois community of Saskatchewan. It highlights people's contributions, allowing viewers to see the faces, hear the voices, and learn more about the vision of the lively Francophone population in the province.
After which, the River City School of Irish Dance is next with a dance compilation including reels and treble reels. All 6 dancers in the video will be competing in the first ever Canadian Nationals, which will be held in Calgary this October. Congratulations, dancers. Great work. And thanks to our amazing production team, we have the opportunity to include some slow motion clips showing the intricate footwork that Irish dance requires. Let's tune in.
Au nom des noms, au nom des noms de la culture, au nom des noms. Au nom des noms, au nom des noms de la culture, au nom des noms.
Au nom des amants,
Livoiron, Haut-de-Mont, Dumont et Roson. Au nom des noms, au nom de la musique et du chant, Normand, Arcan, Carignan, le blanc, Vire, le page, la vigne, la langue, tout le monde, tout le monde, tout le monde. Au nom des noms, au nom des noms de la culture, au nom des noms. Au nom des cultures qui durent, qui s'assument, qui s'assurent un futur. Au nom du mercure, au nom des noms. Au nom des noms de la culture, au nom des noms. Au nom des noms, au nom des noms de la culture, au nom des noms, non, non. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons. Au nom des noms, des noms. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons. Au nom des noms, des noms.
au nom des campagnes,
Des champagnes, des papards, des rivards, du sud et du nord. Au nom d'un gibier de la plume, de tout ce qui nous allume, de tout ce qui donne des ailes, oiselles, la belle, belle bourrée,
Noël Mar.
Ma, et toi et moi, au nom des noms. Au nom des noms des cultures, au nom des noms. Au nom des noms venus d'ailleurs, au nom des noms venus d'ici, de Nia, Célamite, Tourigny, à Congaoui, au nom des noms. Au nom des noms de la culture, au nom des noms. Au nom des noms, au nom des noms de la culture, au nom des noms, non, non. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons. Au nom des noms, des noms. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons. Au nom des noms, des noms. Au nom des Moquins, des Forains, Chammartin,
Poulain,
Jobin, Awingahen, des Godettes, des Verrettes, des Bandets, des Pitets,
Gigant,
des Lambert, des Charlotte et des Marcotte au nom des Granger, des Gauthier, Tremblay, l'Héritier, Stinger, Pelletier, Dubé, Portier, au nom des noms, au nom des noms de la culture, au nom des noms. Au nom de tout ce qui est beau, qui coule, qui a du flow, au gros réseau, Franco, Garo, gros lot, rouleau, Boudreau, Michaud, Tétro, Pessonneau, c'est trop. Perrault, du Perrault, Archambault et puis le dos.
Archambault et yo-yo-yo.
Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons. Au nom des noms, des noms. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons. Au nom des noms, des noms. In the name of the hidden, the forbidden, les Francescois de la Saskatchewan. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons. Au nom des noms, des noms. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons. Au nom des noms, des noms. Et quand les noms s'ajoutent, ils ouvrent de nouvelles routes, de nouvelles couleurs, comme un bouquet de fleurs. Mais il faut que tu te pointes sans crainte, sans peine, à cette courte pointe. Allez, allez, allez.
Brochu Lambert.
Galant.
Le Foll. Et Jason.
Brevet. Zinon.
Ajavon.
Lisée. Tenez.
Aude. Jared. Goujon.
Ben Nasseur. Caro.
Gélida.
Bonsoir. Et Bretier.
C'est quel?
Yanimana.
Derundois.
Chema. Amsaka. Londo.
Nous nous rassemblons au nom des noms, des noms. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons au nom des noms, des noms. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons au nom des noms, des noms. Au nom des noms, nous nous rassemblons au nom des noms, des
Thank you very much to the River City dancers for sharing your talent on Culture Connect. Those slow motion clips really demonstrate the complexity of the footwork and the level of discipline that it must require. Great job.
And thank you to the Raquette et Claquette, sorry for saying that, for their toe-tapping inspiring song. Now, for more great questions. Effie, a FolkFest board member, has asked, what is the history and significance of the bottle dance that the women perform? How do you say cheers in Hungarian?
Hi, I'm Tia with the Hungarian Pavilion. The bottle dance, also known as üveges, is a traditional dance representing the women carrying food and drinks out to the field where the husbands were working. They would demonstrate their talents by balancing the drinks on their head while dancing. Traditionally, it is performed with wine, but we commonly use food coloring and water or grape juice.
Hi, my name is Natalie from the Hungarian Pavilion, and in Hungarian we say cheers as egészségedre, and this is one of the common ways to say cheers.
Hi, I'm Callum McAnally from the morning show on 107.5 Bolt FM. Ever since I was a kid, I've loved checking out the Irish Pavilion. One of the coolest places in the world is the Giant's Causeway, and it has a pretty sweet legend on how it was created. Can you explain the legend for me?
Hi there, I'm Jade from the Irish Pavilion. According to the legend, the Giant's Causeway was created through an epic conflict between two giants, one from Ireland and one from Scotland. And they decided to fight each other and build a bridge using rocks, but soon the Irish giant realized that he was much smaller than the other giant. So he ran to his wife, and his wife saved the day by tricking the other giant, who was from Scotland, into thinking that the Irish giant was way more gigantic. Upon that realization, he ran back to Scotland and destroyed the bridge. The remainder of that bridge is called the Giant's Causeway.
Hi.
This next performance is not for the faint of heart. The Saskatoon Highland Dance Association will be performing Pipe Dreams, a faster, more complicated version of the traditional sword dance, designed for more experienced dancers to showcase their skills. So stay put and get ready to be amazed.
After which, we will have a delicious food demonstration from the Bangladesh Pavilion. They are going to teach us how to make a flavorful and versatile rice dish. This dish works great as a side for any main dish, or can be pretty filling on its own. If you're hungry, you might want to head to the kitchen and follow along. Who has all the spices in their cupboard and is ready to go?
everyone, this is Tisha Hassan. I'm your chef today. So today we are going to make beef puna khichuri. On such a rainy day, who doesn't want to have khichuri? And if it's beef khichuri, then you don't need anything else. But many has hesitated how to cook this delicious dish at home. This can be made very easily at home. So first of all, we need to roast this mung dal. So I'm going to pour it into a frying pan. I'm going to fry it for a couple of minutes to make it crisp and golden color. Yes, so I'm almost done roasting the lentils. So I'm going to pour it into a bowl. So first of all, we need cooking oil. So I'm using like 1 cup. And here we have 1 cup of chopped onions. And then just stir it for a couple of minutes and until it turns golden color. And at the same time, we can add the whole spices here. So I got cinnamon, some cloves, and green cardamom, and some bay leaves. Just cook it for a couple of minutes. All right, so now we are going to add the beef. So here we got 3.5 pounds of beef with bone. Okay, just cook it for a couple of minutes and then we are going to add the powder spices. So 1 tablespoon of turmeric, 1 tablespoon of coriander powder, 1 tablespoon of cumin powder, just taking a little bit more, and 1.5 tablespoon of ginger paste, and 1.5 tablespoon of garlic paste here. All right, so we'll cook it for a couple of minutes and then we'll add some nutmeg powder and mace powder. Just let it cook for a couple of minutes. All right, now we can add some chili according to your tolerance. I'm adding 1 tablespoon and some mace powder like 1/4 tablespoon and some nutmeg powder and salt according to taste. I'm adding 2 tablespoons here. Okay. We just need to cook it for a couple of minutes now and then we'll put the lid on. So the beef is cooked and it looks tender. So now we are going to take the beef out from the pan. Just leave the gravy in the bottom. So here I'm taking a bowl. I'm taking all the meats out. All right, so I took all the beefs out from the pan. And now I'm going to add 3 cups of kalo jeera rice and 2.5 cups of the mung dal. So I'm adding here. So now cook this for 5 to 6 minutes. We just need to add 1 more tablespoon of salt in here because when we cook the beef we add salt, but for rice we need 1 more tablespoon of salt. So just 1 tablespoon. If I need a little bit more, I will add later. All right, so add the water here. Okay. All right, so now it's almost done. So at this stage, we are going to add the cooked meats here. All right, so we're back within 15 minutes. Now see, check how is our khichuri. We use the green chilies just for flavor, not to increase the spiciness, just for flavor. It will give a good aroma. All right, so it looks like our khichuri is done, cooked well. All right, so our delicious beef khichuri is done. Adding some extra ghee on it is totally optional, but highly recommended. So the warm beef khichuri is a fantabulous meal item for the foodie member of your family. So please try at home, and I believe you would love it. Thanks for watching.
Wow, that looks delicious. Don't forget that all the recipes and the full tutorials will be released throughout September on the FolkFest website.
Before that was the Saskatoon Highland Dance Association. Thank you very much for showcasing your talent here at FolkFest.
Next, let's head to the Hungarian Pavilion. Hungary is home to many styles of dance. Each village is unique in their traditional wardrobe and dancing styles. I'm excited to see the style of the regions where Ava and Romeo travel in Saskatoon this time.
Then we have with us Angie and Howard, our Chinese youth ambassadors, with Kiva from the Scottish Pavilion. They have created a trivia quiz for their cultural episode.
Before we go to the video, I have a trivia question for the audience. Which animal has recently been removed from the endangered species list thanks to preservation efforts in China? Put the guesses in the comments, and I will reveal the answer when we're back after our next set of Q&As.
So let's get started. Number 1. What is the largest city in China? A. Shanghai, B. Beijing, C. Guangzhou, D. Shenzhen.
Is it Shanghai?
Yes, Shanghai is the largest city, while Beijing is the capital and Shenzhen is the special economic zone.
Okay, question 2. The 2021 Chinese New Year was on what day? A. January 1st, B. February 1st, C. February 12th, or D. January 2nd?
Is it February 12th?
Yes. The Chinese New Year differs from the traditional January 1st New Year in that it is based on the Chinese lunar calendar instead of the Gregorian calendar. So basically, the Chinese New Year marks the beginning of spring and the start of the new lunar year. So the date is likely to change from the last based on the moon's cycle. Chinese New Year, or the Spring Festival, is the most important celebration observed in China with cultural and historical significance.
Thank you, Angie, Howard, and Kiva. Did you know that giant pandas have recently been removed from the endangered species list thanks to the conservation efforts in China? It's nice to hear good news once in a while, isn't it?
It definitely is. Now we are off to the German pavilion. Germans love their baking. Bread is particularly important in Germany. Can you guess how many different types of bread are made?
3,000.
Are you sure?
3,000.
Oh my goodness, that doesn't even sound real. Send your guesses in the comments and I will reveal the answer after a how-to demonstration that shows a twist on a German treat. Followed by a Q&A about Greece and its history with cheese. Does anyone know how cheese and Greece connect, other than a lot of ease?
After all that food talk, we have a crowd favorite, the lion dance with the Chinese pavilion. This performance is from the Confucius Institute at the University of Saskatchewan. This dance is often performed on Chinese New Year celebrations to frighten away evil and bring good luck and happiness for the upcoming year. And I don't know about you, but I think we could really benefit from some of that. So, without further ado, here's the lion dance.
Hello everyone, today I'll be showing you how to make a Bienenstich cupcake. It usually comes in cake form, but this version is for a cupcake. There's a legend behind the Bienenstich cake, and it says that German bakers from the 15th century lobbed beehives at raiders from neighboring villages, and they successfully repelled them, and they celebrated by making a Bienenstich. Here you have your ingredients. They're pretty straightforward. You're making 3 items to put together at the end of the recipe. You can use any type of vanilla pudding. You just have to use 500 milliliters of milk and 25 grams of sugar with it. The first step is to make the vanilla pudding according to the package that you have at home, and then you need to let it cool. For the dough, you have to mix the flour, ground almonds, baking powder, and baking soda together. In a separate bowl, you whisk the eggs, sugar, melted butter, milk, and sour cream together, and then you add that mixture to the dry ingredients. You want to make sure that everything is mixed together really well. Then you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And since we're making cupcakes, you want to grease and flour your muffin mold and fill each mold 3/4 of the way with batter and bake for 25 minutes. Once the cupcakes are done, you want to cut off the top from the bottom and place pudding into the middle, and then you place the top part back onto the cream. Then set your cupcakes aside while you're making the almond glaze. For the almond glaze, you want to brown your almond slices in a nonstick pan and then set aside once you're done with them. Be careful, they can turn black really fast. Then you need to caramelize your sugar, stir in the butter and honey, and combine the mixture with the almond slices to then top your cupcakes. And there you have it. You just made yourself a Bienenstich cupcake. Hope you enjoy.
I'm Robert Melon. I'm one of the Saskatoon Folk Fest board member. I have a question for the Greek youth ambassadors. What is the history of cheese in Greece and its significance in ancient Olympic Games?
Hi, I'm Gregory, and this is my sister Kira, and we are the youth ambassadors for the Greek Pavilion. Thank you for all your questions.
It is said that cheese, or more specifically feta, was created around 8,000 years ago accidentally when a farmer named Cyclop Polyphemos was transporting milk in bags made from animals' stomachs. The milk curdled and solidified, but was tasty and edible. The Greeks took to calling the substance cheese. And in the ancient Olympic Games, athletes would eat cheesecakes because they were a great source of protein. Cheesecakes at this time were just pounded cheese mixed with honey and flour that was heated and then cooled into cakes.
Aren't those costumes just stunning? That was the lion dance from the Confucius Institute. Thank you very much for the outstanding performance.
And those cupcakes? Amazing, delicious, you name it, and that's what they were. And thank you to the German Pavilion for sharing your baking tips and tricks with us. Did you know that there are over 3,000 types of breads made in Germany? Guess who was right?
You got it right.
That's
oh my
me.
Goodness.
3,000 is a lot. It's a lot of bread.
Sure is. But now we have come to the end of our show. We have a few final dance performances for you from the Greek, India, and Philippines pavilions.
We will run those dances for you right away. But first, it is time for Shakti and myself to say goodnight. We have had so much fun here with you at Culture Connect. Thank you so much for sending us your comments and spending your Saturday night with us.
I hope you enjoyed the show. Good night, and we can't wait to see you all next year.
Θέλω μαζί σου παρτίδες, φιλιάκες ενώμες παγίδες. Από την καλή μονομίδες, ξέχνα το δεν έχεις ελπίδες. Καλύτερα τώρα περνάω, σιγά σιγά σε ξεπερνάω. Κοντά σου πια δεν γυρνάω, φεύγω να στο πω. Τελειώσαμε και είναι οριστικό, κουραστικά. Να φύγω μόνο εγώ.
ಏಕತಾಳ ರಾಗ ವಿಟಪಿ ರಚನೆ ಡಿ.ವಿ. ಪ್ರಸನ್ನಕುಮಾರ್ ಸಂಗೀತ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆ ಬಾಲಸುಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣ್ಯ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಗಣಪತಿ 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 ಪ್ರಣವಾಕಾರ ಸ್ವರೂಪ ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ವಿನಾಯಕನ ರೂಪ ಪ್ರಣವಾಕಾರ ಸ್ವರೂಪ ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ವಿನಾಯಕನ ರೂಪ ತಂ ತಧಿಂ ತತುಂ ತತಂ ತತಾಂ ತಕ್ಕ ತಧಿಂಗಿಣ ತುಂ ತಕ್ಕ ತಧಿಂ ತತುಂ ತನಂ ತತೆ ತಕ್ಕ ತಧಿಂಗಿಣ ತುಂ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಪ್ರದಾತನೆ ಗಣನಾಯಕನೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಪ್ರದಾತನೆ ಗಣನಾಯಕನೆ ಧಿ ತುಂ ನಂ ತದ್ಧಿತ್ತುಂ ನಂ ತಗಧಿತ್ತುಂ ನಂ ತದ್ಧಿತ್ತುಂ ನಂ ತಗಧಿತ್ತುಂ ನಂ ತಗಧಿತ್ತುಂ ನಂ ತದ್ಧಿಂಗಿಣ ತುಂ ಭಕ್ತ ಜನರ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಗಳ ಆಲಿಸಲೆಂದೇ ಇಹುದು ಗಜಕರ್ಣ 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 ತಡ್ಡಿಂಕು ತಕ್ಕ ತಡ್ಡಿಂಕು ಕಿಡತಕ ತಡ್ಡಿಂಕು ಲಂಬೋದರ 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 ಉರಗಧರ ಶ್ರಿತ ಜನ ಪಾಲನಧರ ಆಶ್ರಿತ ಜನ ಸಂಕಟಹರ ಶ್ರಿತ ಜನ ಪಾಲನಧರ ಆಶ್ರಿತ ಜನ ಸಂಕಟಹರ ತಾಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ತಾಂ ತಾಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ಧಿಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ಧಿಂ ಧಿಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ತುಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ತುಂ ತುಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ನಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ನಂ ನಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ಹೊಂದಿಹದ ಚತುರ್ಭುಜ ಪಾಶ ಅಂಕುಶ ಅಭಯಹಸ್ತ ಮೋದಕಧರ ತಿರುಗಿಡತುಂ ತಚ್ಚಂ ತಟ್ಟಿ ಧಣ್ಣತ್ತ ತಿರುಗಿಡತುಂ ಧಣ್ಣಂ ಧಣ್ಣ ಜುಣ್ಣುತ್ತ ಸತ್ಯಪಥ ಕೆಳೆವುದು ಪಾಶ ಸತ್ಯಪಥ ಕೆಳೆವುದು ಪಾಶ ಭವಬಂಧವ ಕಳೆವುದಂಕುಶ ಅವನಂಕುಶ ಭವಬಂಧವ ಕಳೆವುದಂಕುಶ ಅವನಂಕುಶ ಧಿಂ ಧಿಂ ತಟಿ ಧಿಂ ಧಿಂ ಧಣ್ಣ ಧಿಂ ಧಿಂ ಜುಣ್ಣು ತರಿಗಿಡತುಂ ಧನಗಿಡತುಂ ಧಿಂ ಧಿಂ ತಟಿ ಧಿಂ ಧಿಂ ಧಣ್ಣ ಧಿಂ ಧಿಂ ಜುಣ್ಣು ತರಿಗಿಡತುಂ ಕಿಡತಗತುಂ ಅಭಯ ನೀಡುತ್ತಿರಲು ಹಸ್ತ ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ಪ್ರಿಯನ ಅಭಯ ಹಸ್ತ ಅಭಯ ನೀಡುತ್ತಿರಲು ಹಸ್ತ ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ಪ್ರಿಯನ ಅಭಯ ಹಸ್ತ ರೇ ಕುಚಂ ಧಣೆ ಕುಚಂ ಧಣೆ ಕುಚಂ ಕಿಣಾ ಕುಚಂ ಮೋದಕ ದೊರೆವುದು ನಿಜ ಭಕುತಿಗೆ ದೃಢ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಮೋದಕ ದೊರೆವುದು ನಿಜ ಭಕುತಿಗೆ ದೃಢ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ರಿತ್ತ ಧಣ್ಣತಕ ಧಿಂ ಧಣ್ಣತ್ತ ಜುಣುತಕ ವಾಹನ ಮೂಷಿಕ ಜಿತೇಂದ್ರಿಯದ ದ್ಯೋತಕ ವಾಹನ ಮೂಷಿಕ ಜಿತೇಂದ್ರಿಯದ ದ್ಯೋತಕ ತಾಂ ತಟ್ಟಿ ಧಣ್ಣ ತಕ್ಕ ಧಿಂ ಧಣ್ಣ ಝುಣ್ಣು ತಕ್ಕ ತುಂ ಝುಣ್ಣು ಧಿಮ್ಮಿ ತಕ್ಕ ಸದಾ ನಮಿಪೆವು ನಿನಗೆ ಗಕಾರ ಗಂಗಣಪನೆ ಪ್ರಸನ್ನನಾಗುತ್ತ ಯಮಗೆ ಸದ್ಬುದ್ಧಿಯ ಕರುಣಿಸು ಪ್ರಸನ್ನನಾಗುತ್ತ ಎಮ್ಮಲಿ ಸಚ್ಚಿಂತನೆ ಮೂಡಿಸು ಪ್ರಸನ್ನನಾಗುತ್ತ ಯಮಗೆ ಸತ್ಸಂಗವ ಮಾಡಿಸು ಪ್ರಸನ್ನನಾಗುತ್ತ ಯಮಗೆ ಸದ್ಬುದ್ಧಿಯ ಕರುಣಿಸು ಪ್ರಸನ್ನನಾಗುತ್ತ ಎಮ್ಮಲಿ ಸಚ್ಚಿಂತನೆ ಮೂಡಿಸು ಪ್ರಸನ್ನನಾಗುತ್ತ ಯಮಗೆ ಸತ್ಸಂಗವ ಮಾಡಿಸು ಗಂಗಣಪತಿ ಗಣಪತಿ 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 ಗಂಗಣಪತಿ ಗಣಪತಿ
I was a down bad. Picked up the pad, pick up the slack, pick up the lip. Picking up racks from me clear to act you two, and I'm back in the booth. Got them hacking the shackers, they lacking the juice, dropping the ball. Activists drew down the side of your face, we ain't jacking it. We ain't dapping them fools, get a nap, you do just embarrassing. Who going crazy like crazy? Yeah, y'all had a year, but you let it go by.
I was just up, I was just down bad. I had to tighten the up, but I'm here for the crown. I was just up, I was just it down, 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 down. Crown, 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 crown.
Oh, na, na. It's Vito, baby.
Rock me, baby.
I need that classic. Pop off when she get mad at me. I like them a little sassy, real nasty, but that's all for me. She got every tryna be her piece. That's me. Yeah, yeah. But I'm her headache and she sleep in peace. She ain't going nowhere. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes she know what I want by now, and she know what to say, how to get to me. I know she's the one by now. Loyalty, she knows she's stuck with me. That's my little ghetto thing. She crazy, my baby. Might get a wedding ring. Amazing, my Sadie. And my little ghetto thing. I know what she want by now. I bet you gon' respect. Yeah, she crazy, look Yvette.
Bebo, 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 bet. Ikaw ang aking bebo, 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 bet. Ikaw ang aking bebo, 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 bet. Ikaw ay Filipino, 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 Filipino. Hoy pare, pakinggan nyo ko. Ito ng tunay na Pilipino. Galing sa baryo sa Pangbato. Pumunta ng LA, nagtrabaho para makatulong sa nanay. Dahil sa hirap ng buhay, pero masaya pa rin ang kulay. Pag kumain, nagkakamay. Yung kanin, chicken adobo. Yung balot, binibenta sa kanto. Tagay mo na nga ang baso. Pare ko, inuman na tayo. Filipino, 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 Filipino.
Will I be queen? Intense music.
ਲੱਖਾਂ ਤੁਰੀਆਂ ਫਿਰਨ ਗੋਰੀਆਂ ਤੂੰ ਹੀ ਡਚ ਗਈ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆਏ ਆ ਪਰ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਨਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਜੱਟਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿੱਤਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਰ ਗਈ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਬੱਲੀਏ ਸੱਚੀ ਦੱਸਾਂ ਲੋਕ ਤੇਰੀ ਸਿੱਕ ਬੱਲੀਏ ਲਾਈਫ ਟਾਈਮ ਮਿੱਤਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੌਂਡ ਕਰ ਲਾ ਤੱਕਦਾ ਬਗਾਨੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਕਬੱਲੀਏ ਤੱਕਦਾ ਬਗਾਨੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਜੇ ਕਬੱਲੀਏ ਨਰਮ ਜਿਹਾ ਗੱਭਰੂ ਹੈ ਗੱਭਰੂ ਪਰ ਤਿੱਖੀ ਤਿੱਖੀ ਤੂੰ ਗੱਡੀ ਕਾਲੀ ਹੈ ਕਾਲੀ ਪਰ ਚਿੱਟੀ ਚਿੱਟੀ ਤੂੰ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਥੋੜਾ ਕੌੜਾ ਹੈ ਕੌੜਾ ਪਰ ਮਿੱਠੀ ਮਿੱਠੀ ਤੂੰ
ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਲਾਈਆਂ ਅੱਖੀਆਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਗਈ ਹੋਸ਼ ਜ਼ਮਾਨੇ ਦੀ ਨੈਣਾ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਪਿਆ ਕਰ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਲੋੜ ਮੈਂ ਖਾਣੇ ਦੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਲੋੜ ਮੈਂ ਖਾਣੇ ਦੀ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਕੱਟਿਆ ਏ 1 ਸਾਲ ਵੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਲੈ ਜਿਆ ਕਰ ਤੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਪਿੰਗ ਮਾਲ ਵੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਭ ਪਾਰਲਰ ਸਜਦੀਆਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਾਈ ਹਾਈਲਾਈਟ ਕਰਾ ਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਕਾਲੇ ਵਾਲ ਵੇ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਸਜਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੂਟ ਪੁਰਾਣਿਆ ਹਾਏ ਪੁਰਾਣਿਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲਹਿੰਗਾ ਲੈ ਦੇ ਮਹਿੰਗਾ ਜਾ ਮਰ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਇੰਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੱਸ ਤੂੰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲਹਿੰਗਾ ਲੈ ਦੇ ਮਹਿੰਗਾ ਜਾ ਮਰ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਇੰਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੱਸ ਤੂੰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਵੇ ਮਰ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਵੇ ਮਰ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਹਾਈ ਗਾਇਸ
Move your luck, baby. Move your luck, baby. Sari raat se morning tak, baby. Move your luck, baby. Move your luck, baby. Sari raat se morning tak, baby. Move your luck, baby. Move your luck, baby. Sari raat se morning tak, baby. Move your luck, baby. Move your luck, baby. Sari raat se morning. Move your luck, baby. Move your luck, baby. Sari raat se morning tak, baby. Move your luck, baby. Move your luck, baby. Sari raat se morning tak, baby.
रात से morning तक baby move your luck baby move your luck baby सारी रात से morning तक baby
move my luck baby move my luck baby सारी रात से morning तक baby